I'm doing something different. We have kids that want this or that. We have evolved. Our diet's always evolving as we grow and change. Sorry, Anthony. We're doing our best tonight with storms coming through and so on. Rural internet is not perfect. But anyway, eating in a family. So, wellness. When you decide that you are ready for a different result in your body, and you know that you need to change up your diet, just do it. That's really the bottom line. We are wanting always our families to be on board with us, to do things with us. There's a lot of beliefs around food and eating, and one of those is that we should always have a family meal, that everybody should eat what's put on the table. This is a belief that will not serve you well when you decide that you are going to improve the health of your body. Just saying. Your beliefs have to change if you want different results in your life. If you want, you want to start homesteading, you might have to change some beliefs around how you live, where you live, what kind of person you are. If you've always been a city person, one person who lived in town for a lot of years, and his wife loved living in town, and then she lived in the city or in the country for him, and they're having a homestead. So these beliefs have to change when you want to change your life, change your results. How to get your kids to change. In the video, Rachel pointed out, I kind of fooled Frank into eating liver. He didn't know that that's what it was, and my family does not like liver. They'll eat hearts, sometimes they'll eat gizzards, but liver, it's a tough sell. It's okay. My kids make a lot of their own food choices. We give them a healthy smorgasbord to choose from. And as long as they are choosing from healthy choices, I let them make their choices. I have one that's a picky eater, Jim. He doesn't always like mixed things, like stews and soups. He thinks some of my things look odd. Like if I put turmeric in things, he won't eat orange things, orange food. I made a soup the other night that had beets in it, and I blended it. I put it in the blender because then they don't know what I've put in it. It works pretty good for hiding stuff. Just a little feeding kids hint. The blender is a great friend. But it was red, and he didn't think he wanted to eat something that looked like ground up cow. That was his take on how it looked. So that's fine. I said, Jim, then fry yourself an egg. He knows how to fry eggs. You go for it, buddy. It's always a healthy choice. When you start to eat, you want to start following your gut. Eat what makes your stomach feel good, not your mouth necessarily, because our taste buds are sometimes wonky, but what makes your gut feel good. And it's an important thing to afford the same lessons. Teach your kids to do the same. Allow your spouse the space to do the same thing. Yeah, liver, mazzuffaghetti. That's the sausage that we make with liver in the Homestead Hog Harvest course. It actually works really good. It's amazing stuff. But afford people the same liberty that you want. We talk about that with all the other things. Mark talks about that endlessly when it comes to your rights and your farming, and the same is true of your health. Do what you need to do for your own health and afford other people the opportunity to do the same for yours. One of my teenagers' least favorite questions is when I ask them, so how's that pizza and Mountain Dew for lunch working out for you? When they tell me my face is breaking out. Or they say, oh, I'm so tired. Like, oh, so where was your phone last night when you were sleeping? Just out of curiosity. They don't like those questions because they're realizing that when they have a certain result, they did something that caused it. It's true for your health. If you have a certain result, you have done something that caused that result. Training your kids to make those connections is really, really valuable. They don't have to be members of the Clean Your Plate Club. They are way healthier if they learn to eat what sounds really good to their body and to be done when they're satisfied. It's an important lesson. Let our kids eat the way that we want to eat. Let our spouses learn to follow their gut and eat what's good for them. So, it's Wellness Wednesday. Do what's good for you. Follow your gut. In the immortal words of one of the people I follow for yoga online, find what feels good. If you feel better, really better, you have more energy, you have more flexibility, less pain. Mark's dealing with inflammation based on his food choices over the weekend. It's okay. You change the results by changing your behavior and what you do, and afford the same liberty to the people around you. And that's how you obtain wellness in the context of a family. And teach your kids, really and truly, how to be healthy by helping them make those same connections. So, it's your thought for this week. Liberty, absolutely essential. We're made for liberty. Whether it's your farming, or any other process that you have, or your health. It's all the same. Choices and consequences. So, when you're ready, Marco, you should bring people up to date on classes coming up. Because they are coming up very quickly. And our November class is officially full.
Okay. Yeah. Greetings. Yeah, Joe was telling you that I made some food choices this weekend. We have a friend that has some kids, and they play with my kids, and so we said, hey, why don't you come on over and we'll have a final swim day for Labor Day. And so she says, well, what do you want me to bring? And I said, Reese's Pieces and soda pop. Figuring that she would know that that's not really what I wanted to bring. But she did. And so I felt kind of obligated to, partake. And that's not my thing anymore. I don't really like eating that stuff. But for some reason it was like a holiday, and we're just sitting around the campfire and stuff, and I said, let me have, who's got my canteen? I want some water. And nobody saw it, so I said, just give me one of those pops. And I drank about half of it, and it tasted good at first, but then I thought, I don't know if it's not worth it. And then what else did I have? I had a bunch of Bugles, and I had some popcorn with some dust on it. Who knows what it was, but it's supposed to be, butter and salt dust. And I ate that, and then after the night was over, I just felt like that wasn't that good. I shouldn't have done that. And the next morning I woke up and my back hurt. I had a headache starting way down here in my neck that went up into my head, and my shoulder hurt, and it still hurts. It really hurts. So that's where it went, and I wound up sleeping on it the next night, and then last night it was really sore. It woke me up, and I had to get up and took some aspirin. That's probably not the best thing to do, but in order to get to sleep, I had to relieve the pain. So once you do go carnivore, I don't think there's really any going back to that old junky way of eating, because, and I'm glad too, because I know I don't want that type of performance out of my body. I want better performance out of it, and I don't want to be in pain because of something that I ate. But it's actually inflammation around the joints, and it had virtually left me. You know, I had no, old man pain getting up and moving around or anything like that. And now today it's there, and I don't want it. Somebody had a bunch of messages deleted. Anthony Sullivan, being a wise guy.
Yeah, wise guy.
Okay. So
He can
here,
come back on if he has questions for you.
if you want to be nice, you
Good
can come back
questions
on.
about homesteading.
Yeah. So Wednesday night's dedicated to Q&A, and then we've been kind of adding in this Wellness Wednesday that Jill does. You know, she's a health coach and naturopath and occupational therapist and mom and all that stuff, and can do wonders. And so we've been doing that, and then we get right over to questions and answers, and that's where it all started. It was a Q&A thing, and it was just an effort to stop the phone from ringing. You know, what do you feed chickens? You know, for the 100th time, and said, let's go online and do a show and kind of answer these questions. And then it turned into 2, and now it's 5. But sometimes we talk about other stuff having to do with this lifestyle, the homesteading lifestyle, or the farm lifestyle, or rural lifestyle, intentional living. People call it different things. And we're all over the place. I wouldn't say that we're organic farmers, because that would kind of denote that our products go out of here a label that says USDA organic certified, which they don't. But the things we leave here, they go in the same freezer that we eat out of. So we're interested in quality food, and we realize that eating bugles you're not going to get the best performance out of your body. Your brain's not going to work as good. Eyesight, skin, none of that stuff's going to work. You wouldn't know it, but I'm 75 years old. You wouldn't know it. All right, so let me go through some dates here for some classes that we have coming up. We at Anyone Can Farm do instructional classes. This is going to be our 11th year of the Homestead Hog Harvest, and we've got several dates here. This is a 3-day event. We'll take up to 12 people per class. We normally kill Friday, the class, and we'll do our first kill. Eviscerate it, split it in half, and get it laid out for the next day. And we do 2 pigs, so it's very hands-on. Everybody gets to get in there and do as much or as little as they want. We realize that it's not really for everybody, but you do need to see it. It is the Homestead Hog Harvest, and we named it that because you might not have a butcher shop on your homestead. You might just be getting started and not have anything on your homestead. You might have a tree that you can hoist a pig up, or you might not do pigs at all. But pigs are a good animal. They're kind of middle of the road. It's not a rabbit and it's not a cow. It's kind of in the middle, and you get to see it happen and start to plan out your area, how you're going to do it. This is for people who want to do this. Not everybody wants to do this. But I can tell you, having been in the farming business now 20-something years, the difference between a successful farmer and an unsuccessful farmer is the successful guy will do what the unsuccessful guy will not. Right? So I didn't shoot my own pigs for quite a long time. I'd say probably a couple of years. And I was on our last farm until I finally, it was just a strange event. My oldest son wanted to do it, and he got a bad shot. And so I had to get it straightened out. And it was a longer shot, and I took it, and I was like, it wasn't so bad. But prior to that, a friend of ours had always come over and done it. We didn't have a whole lot of pigs. We just had a handful of pigs. But then we started raising more and more, and then it turned into, we started butchering our own pigs, which we had not done. But I had a butcher friend, and he showed me how to do some stuff, and we kept doing that, and then he showed me a little more, and then we started doing that, and next thing we know, we're experts. We know everything there is to know about shrimping. Nah, we're okay. I wouldn't say we're hackers for other people and expecting. All right. This makes it very unfun when that happens. Anthony Sullivan. Refresh my Wi-Fi connection. Me? Like I know what that is. All right, well, anyway, that's the Homestead Hog Harvest in a nutshell. It's a 3-day event. So we're kill, then we're breaking down the carcasses the second day, and we're breaking some of those, we break them down into primal cuts, what's called primal cuts, and we show you this. You get a workbook. You can take all the pictures you want, and then we'll take the primal cuts and break them down into subprimals, not all of them, but enough so that you get an idea of the major things, you know, bacon and chops and collar steaks, ham, think the normal stuff. And we delve into a little bit of charcuterie, and that is the art of meat preservation. So sausage making, you know, prosciutto making, Coca-Cola, rendering, that's actually part of it. Baconing, you know, it can be a verb, right? You can bacon something, or you can eat bacon, right? Right? What about climate change? You shouldn't kid around about that. Baby seals are dying. Shouldn't kid around about it. No, and the Homestead Hog Harvest class, it is instrumental in dialing back climate change or global warming. Or did he say global warming or climate change? Whatever way. So, and we give out a certificate that says that you are carbon friendly. You know, it's certified by Baker's Green Acres. So I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so we're going to be doing our first class of the year. It's going to be the 8th through the 10th in Traverse City. And the information for that is on bakersgreenacres.com. You can find that information there. And that is not at our farm. This is what's called anyone can farm on the road. So we're doing it at a host farm, right? So there'll be a completely different group of people there, but me and Jill will be there, and we'll probably have a couple helpers from here to help us pull it off. All right, and that class so far, that class is a go. That's the 8th through the 10th. Ticket prices on that are $500 a seat for 3 days. And this skill is something you really want to add to your toolbox, in your homesteader's toolbox, or your prepper's toolbox, whatever. If you can butcher a pig, you can butcher a chipmunk, you can butcher a dachshund, you can butcher a llama. You know, it's all kind of the same. You can work your way through it, right? It just needs to be thought through and then executed. The second class is going to be We've changed it. It was going to be in Maine. Didn't get anybody. The class is not going to go. So we are going to potentially switch it to Baker's Green Acres. That's going to be October 15th through the 17th. Right now we have 0 people signed up for that because we just opened it up. All right, 0. If we fill it, we'll do it. Or if we fill it enough to where we feel like it's going to be profitable enough for us to do it, then we will do it, right? If we fill it halfway, 6 people, then we'll do 1 pig. I think that would be fair, don't you?
Yeah, we'll work it however it needs to be.
We'll work it however it needs to be. But if we only get 1 or 2, we probably won't. The next one is going to be 30 October through November 1st, and that is on Beaver Island, Michigan. This is right outside of, it's about 2 hours out by ferry. Beautiful island, not a very big island, and I'm not sure about that class yet. Not sure how many people they have signed up, but they're working on it. We did it last year, and it was a fairly full class, and we had a great time. We had an absolutely cool time.
There's always interesting people that are willing to go to a fox farm and kill a pig.
Yeah, you're going to meet some interesting folks, and we had a good time. We had a really good time. Okay, then the Piece de Resistance, November 5th through the 7th, is going to be here at Baker's Green Acres, and it is full. We have a full 12 people for that one, so that's good. That's really good. That's 12 more people we're going to have out there in the perimeter that know how to do this process. Very important process, by the way. Very important to the homesteader. If you're into the prepping thing, which I am, I am a farmer, so I'm always prepping for the next season or the next year or the next month. I'm always preparing. I was a Boy Scout. I was in the service for 20 years. You have to prepare. You have to be prepared for things. So I am, they used to call it survivalists, Anyway, I don't know. I think we all should be prepared. If we were all survivalists, then the weirdos couldn't pull any of the things that they do on us, right? But if you are into the prepping thing, this is a skill that sets you aside, Then an animal, a cow on the hoof, that is just a ton of sustenance. But can you get it from the hoof to the plate? And everything in between. It needs to be thought through, and do it a few times, and then it's something that you have in your toolbox. You can utilize that. Then December 3rd through the 5th is going to be our first charcuterie class, and this is going to have a little bit of overlap from the Homestead hog harvest. We're going to start with the animals already slaughtered. They will be laid out, and then we will do the breakdown, because that's something you can go over again, and it's good to go over it again. And then we'll break them into subprimals. We will really dig into the charcuterie at that point, salting, curing, and cooking of the pig in order to preserve it. So you kill a pig in the fall, you're going to have to be eating off that same pig come the next summer. So how are you going to do that if you don't have freezers and you don't have all the monitored amenities? And even if you do, running a freezer is not a cheap proposition. If there's a way that you can do it and not run a freezer, I want to hear it. And there is. And they're very effective ways. They're not brain surgery. You got to kind of know what you're doing. You got to know what to look for. Food.
There are circumstances where food can become hazardous to our health, but usually about the time you get it right here, you'll pick it up here, right? So we've been taught that food can become, like a hazardous waste, poisonous, kill you just to look at it. And that's somebody's agenda who doesn't want us to be self-sufficient. So we're going to overcome a lot of those things, and we're going to teach these things, and you can go from there. But it puts a lot of people at ease. You'll see how we hang our meats, how we preserve them, things like that. We'll eat a whole bunch of them and all that stuff. So good stuff, very good stuff. If we have to do another charcuterie class, because this one is almost full,
We
isn't
have
it?
5 seats left.
There are 5 seats left in the charcuterie class. If we fill that one, we'll see. We will see. And that's a $500 class too. We sell puppies, $500. We sell breeding stock pigs, our breeding stock pigs, $500. Everything's $500. Our children. January 7th through the 9th, we're going to be heading out to Texas, and I am quite sure that they're going to fill that class. They've got the Crunchy Mama crew out there that's pretty excited about getting into this. Crunchy Mama is a farm that caters to the mama bear class, all these moms that are pretty serious about keeping their kids fed. And they know that they got to do what they got to do in order to make that happen. So I think that this is the thing for people to do who are getting frustrated with their leaders, is to learn how to do things without them, If they're going to make it so you got to put a face mask on to go to the store, you don't want to do it, then you should, learn a way around that. They're going to say you got to have a shot in your arm to get in there, and you don't want to do it, figure out a way to do it without it. So you can't expect our criminal parasite class politicians to get things straightened out for us. You just have to get it to the point where they shrug their shoulders and say, they won't do anything we tell them to do. Damn right, because we're Americans, that's why, and we're governed. We've been that way a long time. Push us too far, you find out what happens. Okay, that's our classes for the year. Not saying we can't add a few. We've already done a few. We did pastured poultry, we did a fencing. The fencing one didn't go. Pastured poultry one was a good one, actually. Yeah, very good showing on that. Had a lot of fun. So, okay. I'll take questions, and Jill can take questions too.
Yeah.
I probably won't turn this thing over to her because it's
sketchy,
just hanging there by a kind of a thread, but shoot, Mama.
All right. Keith wanted to know if you have plans for a rabbit tractor.
I don't, Keith. I can tell you though, rabbits in a chicken tractor work really well. I don't recommend a big rabbit tractor. I don't recommend a big one. I recommend kind of a small one. And then I recommend thinking about how you're going to move that every day. Like, let's say you had one that was, say, 6 wide, 10 long. It's kind of a good measurement. 6 by 10 or 6 by 12. 6 by 12 would be all right. 4 by 8. That's a good one too. That'd be a nice. You could have a lot of rabbits in there, especially if you have unmowed areas that are pretty flat. You can really take care of a lot of that grass and weeds and things like that, because they'll turn it all into protein, and it's good protein. The one thing that you have to consider is if you have areas that are open, they dig. They like to dig. They have to be moved every day. We put them right on our lawn, right out here, in between here and the campfire area. Keith was here, so he knows what I'm talking about. And it's flat and this good thick grass there. So I like rabbits because when an animal is basically going to convert things that I can't eat into something that I can eat, right? My kids will go crazy for a good rabbit stew or a good chicken stew or something like that, fried rabbit. They'll go crazy for that. But if I put a plate full of grass in front of them, they're not really interested in. They're not really interested in that at all. All right, and it won't do much for them. And but rabbit meat will, and it's good. It's wholesome. It doesn't have everything. We had some people here this weekend that were telling me, "Oh no, you'd starve to death on rabbits." And I thought that's a bit extreme. I don't know if that's true, but anyway,
the lack of fat could create an issue for you if that's all you were eating.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if you'd starve to death.
But we've butchered a lot of rabbits that have good fat in them. Yeah. So I don't know.
So I'm definitely pro rabbit. And when you were here, you see that we have rabbits, and we're basically just getting started again. I've got one doe and one buck, and we've got like 12 bunnies out there, 2 different litters. And so we're just getting started really again. You can go all winter long with them. Pelletized rabbit feed is relatively cheap, and it's got everything that they need in the wintertime, or if you can find somebody that will cut you like a third cutting hay. If you can't, the second cutting or first cutting, it'll work. They'll still grow on it. And then even in the wintertime, you can be looking around and doing some experimentation on what they will eat. We have volunteer sunflowers that just sprout out of the ground here. A couple of times we've planted them. I think someone else planted them. Dave. No? Dave?
No, well, I planted them.
And then all of a sudden they grow, and they'll have a stalk on them like that, and they're 10 feet high, great big smiley face on top of them. They're beautiful plants. And those great big leaves on there, you can just whack them off, throw it in with rabbits, gone. So there's calories there. I can't eat them, I don't think. Maybe I should try them. But they can, and then I can eat them. It's the same with cows too. Cows do a magnificent job of converting grass into milk and beef, and I can utilize that. But what Keith is talking about is a tractor being a pen that maybe has a top on it, maybe not. Rabbits don't fly, so do you need a top on it? If you have a good dog that will keep predators away, you probably won't need a top on it. Maybe you'll need some sort of structure in there for shelter, in the wintertime, or even in the summertime, to keep them out of you got to keep them out of the sun. Sun can really do a number on rabbits. And rain can be hard on them too when they get all wet and then it's cold. That can be. We're really not set up. I've got a chicken tractor out there that we built years ago during one of our classes, and it was just a build that was done just to demonstrate the build, and we call it the half pint, so I think it's 4x8. And once we're done with it, we did turkeys in it this year, and once we're done with it, we're going to bring it up here and use it for rabbits and modify it so there's a little bit of you got to have things a little bit different than a chicken tractor, because you have to have all the bunnies at the front when you go to move it, right? So yeah, I'm definitely pro bunny, pro rabbit. pro chicken too. I like chicken. I like chicken better than rabbit, and I like rabbit better than turkey. I'm not a big turkey guy. Okay?
Although some of us like turkey.
Yeah, Jill likes turkey. I like to see them around, and I have a field that I grew just for them, but you guys didn't ask me about turkeys, so I won't expound on that. But if you do ask me about it, I like to talk about my turkeys. But I'll wait. Next.
All right. Yeah, Jonathan wondered, just because this relates to rabbits, he's only ever eaten wild rabbits and wonders if domesticated is better. He's never been a huge fan of the wild rabbits.
No, I'd eat it if I had to, but I don't like the looks of them. They are so parasite ridden around here. I wouldn't. We have a bit of a problem with them. My dogs don't see them as a threat. So what happens is my dogs are, we have Great Pyrenees guardian dogs. So they're a threat to the foxes and the coyotes and the skunks and all the predatory animals. They're a threat to them. So those things are pushed back. And in the safety zone where the dogs can run around, the rabbits, they can run around in there and the dogs don't do anything to them because the dogs are used to our rabbits and they figure, well, it's just a rabbit that's out. Or maybe the dog might chase a little bit, but they won't kill them. And so the rabbits kind of, ooh, we got a nice safe area in here. And look, these people have stuff for us. So the rabbits like to eat anything that we grow. I don't blame them necessarily, but you know, they can do a lot of damage to, like, oh, you put in some shrubs or something and then they'll eat all the bark right around the around the base of it. They'll ring around small fruit trees. So they've done a lot of damage. What else have they done? What did they kill on you?
Oh,
Grapes,
blueberry bushes.
blueberries. Oh, those little sleaze bags. Yeah. And so every now and then when we see them and they're getting kind of, like, hey, they want us to throw them something from a barbecue or something, like, hey, am I getting invited too? Then it's time to push them back a little bit. And so we shoot a few of them, and I don't like shooting stuff that we don't use, so we'll take a look at them and say, oh, can't eat this, because they're usually covered with fleas. I mean, covered. What a life that must be, just covered with fleas. So maybe they're glad that we're shooting them. That's probably what they're doing. They're probably just running out in front of us like, shoot me. Just shoot me. Maybe I should trap them and put a little flea collar on them. So yeah, I haven't eaten any of them that we've shot around here. Nope, haven't. But the ones we raise, they're pretty good size, so there's a lot of meat there. All right.
Yeah, let's see. Nicole wondered if rabbits can eat sprouted fodder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, probably the grains off
I haven't done it, but I
James-
would say.
Yeah, James Zumwalt said that grain can kill rabbits.
Huh.
So if they get into the grains, but if it's
I didn't know
sprouted
that.
and they're getting the green shoots on top, that may be a different story, because that's the grass again.
I did not know that grain would kill rabbits. That's the first I've ever heard of that. And James Zumwalt is no.
Yeah, he's raising a lot of them.
He's
got
raising a lot of them?
comments
Oh,
on
okay.
Yep.
Well, all right, James, thank you. I have not heard that. I mean, every now and then I hear something that I say, well, you'd think I would have heard that by now, but I've not heard that. But you know what I did? I went around and I picked stuff, you know, maple leaves, all the different weeds that we have, even some of the ones that I know the pigs won't touch, cows won't touch. Jimson weed, more powerful than peyote, right? It's so powerful, it's a hallucinogen, but there's virtually no way to know what your dosage would be if you ingested some of that white sap that's in it, that you can kill yourself. So I don't recommend, going on a Jimson weed trip at all. But I tried giving them some of that. Nope, they would not eat it. Pigs won't eat it. Cows won't eat it. I don't think we threw it into the chickens. I don't think we tried that. But they will eat a lot of other stuff, a whole lot of other stuff. It's surprisingly enough, they'll even eat pine needles. And they don't have to be hungry. They just will try them, or nibble at a pine cone, or they eat the boxes that we put in there that we build out of pine, believe it or not. So, anything else?
Oh yeah.
Got more questions?
Let's see. Yes. Coastal gardening has.
Coastal.
Oh wait. Aiden's question was first.
Okay, well, Aiden's.
How many milking cows would it take to require a milking machine?
Oh, just one.
Depends on how much you like to hand milk.
Yeah. If you like to hand milk, then hand milk. I always find hand milking, you think you're almost done, and you've been at it for 10 minutes, and then it's like, wow, I only got a gallon. I'm going to be here another 10 minutes, and it just seems like forever, But the nice thing about hand milking is it's just you, the cow, whatever you're sitting on, a milk crate basically, and a bucket. And you're milking, and you get a gallon of milk. Hey, you're doing pretty good, and then bang, the cow will kick it over. Never fails. But you will develop, really strong hands, and, if you like a wife with big guns, she will develop her guns, her forearms, So that might be something. But it takes a long time, and it seems like, well, you're almost done, and then she'll drop down a bunch more milk, and it just keeps going. And then, like, I have a cow right now. She's a really good cow most of the time. She wasn't a good girl today because she didn't want to come up, and I really had to drive her hard today, which I hate to do. I hate to have to hit her, but that was the only way to communicate with her. But she's only got teats on her about that big, and they're about that long. That's about it. So you can just imagine I'd be, trying to, so that would not be good. That would really take a long time. She's got great milk, and she gave me 2.25 gallons today, and she's been milking now for, well, I'm not exactly sure, because we got her without a calf, so I'm not exactly sure how long she's been milking. But that would be a real tough go, just tiny little teats on her, Now, if you have a cow with some serious tits, then you can get your hands on them and, put everything you got into them. But if they're small, then it's tough, and you need the machine. The machine that we have is called a bucket milker, and it's it requires a vacuum pump. So you got to create vacuum. You need about 14 pounds of vacuum. Mine right now seems like it's only making about 10, but it's still working really good. I don't know, it's a constant problem with old equipment is it's not working quite right. Well, it's got this gasket's kind of wore out, because the stuff's old. It's seriously old. And some of our friends, like Stumpos, have gone out and they've bought a machine, and I think they paid a little bit for it, but it works good. It works good every time. And I think that's worth doing. The equipment is very serviceable. And when I say serviceable, I mean, they still make consumable parts for it, like the gaskets, the inflations, the tubes, the hoses, things like that. And I pretty regularly upgrade my equipment so it works well. But I'm only milking one cow right now, and we don't even consider milking Scarlet by hand. Don't even think about it. I don't even think about it because she's so small. And it takes like maybe 5 minutes to milk her out with the machine. And then it takes about maybe 10 minutes to clean the machine. And maybe 5 minutes to put the machine together, after it's been cleaned. So, yeah, if you're doing 2 cows then, 2 5-minute milkings is pretty good if you're knocking down 6, 7, 8 gallons of milk a day. It's worth doing. But even for 2 gallons, even for 1 gallon, I think it's worth it. So I think if you can find the equipment, I think it's worth securing and then getting used to using it, and what's better, get in some chat rooms. And the one that I have right now is the best one I've ever had. I had a surge milker before, and I liked it. It worked really well. It was serviceable, but it's not near as good as the bucket milker. My bucket milker will hold 5 gallons of milk. The surge milker was only holding 2.75. So you would actually have to pull it off the cow, empty it, and then put it back on, if your cow is just freshened. And what I mean when I say just freshened, when she just has a calf, she's going to have more milk. And then, the further she gets from that calving, the less milk she will have. And you got to keep milking her to keep it coming. By the way, it was cold out today. I was mowing lawn and I got rained on really hard and I got soaked. So we're in the house tonight because of that. It was cold. Next.
All right.
You had Coastal. Coastal had a question.
Has 15 piglets that are out with moms yet. Should have been weaned a month ago, but the paddock isn't ready yet. Is there a problem with this? The boar's still in there and seems to be gentle with them and everything.
No, there's no problem. Matter of fact, that's the way I personally prefer it that way. I preach. I mean, it's my, I guess I'll say I'll preach. I preach, when in doubt, defer to nature. So if you had your sows and your boar, they're together, that's how they would be in nature. They would be running in a group. They don't call it a group, they call it a sounder. There'd be one boar that would be more aggressive or bigger, and he would be the herd boar. He would be the one that got, first dibs on all the sows. Although, if he's got six or so sows and they're all having 4 to 8 babies, that's a lot of work, and they all come in. He would be jumping them the first cycle It's not like he would be saying, "Oh, I'm going to wait until you're a year old." He wouldn't say that. He'd say as soon as they were ready, he would jump them. So their first heat, he would jump them. So that's the one thing that you have to kind of worry about, like with these little ones. If you leave them in there too long, then you're going to have problems because your boar will start impregnating them, which you don't want. Unless maybe you do, but I don't know. There's something to think about there that I will tell you in a minute. But unless maybe you do, but I don't know. There's something to think about there that I will tell you in a minute. But in the short term, no, I don't think there's anything for you to worry about. The little ones, the boar doesn't seem to care about them. Not much. They'll run up on top of him and play with them, and he just doesn't even play with them. He just considers them like flies. You know, he doesn't care about them. One time we had a boar. It was the strangest dynamic. We had some people here that were new to farming, and they wanted to see how the whole sounder thing worked. We were planting something. My family was planting something, and I said, "Hey, we'll be with you in a minute. You can go look in that pen there." And I looked over, and I could see the wife looking at my boar. And I looked at my boar, and I knew he's going to do something. I don't know why I knew that, but he did. And he grabbed a piglet, and he crunched it with his mouth, and then he stepped on it, he tore it right in half, and he ate it. And this poor woman was standing there watching that whole thing. And I looked at her face like, oh, we're supposed to be motivating people to want to be in the farming business. And there must have been some weird spiritual thing happening at the time, because it wasn't 10 minutes later, there was this horrible screaming coming from up by the barn, which is probably 100 yards away from where this incident happened. And so we all moved that direction. It was a pig. Like, what is this? It was like a deep guttural scream, you know. And I'm thinking, what is happening to this little sow? And she was a sow that wasn't right. There was something wrong with her head. She had problems. And we had to separate her because she was getting beat up. So we put her in with the boar. She was young. She was probably 80 pounds or so. 80 to 100 pounds. Yeah, she was like 100 pounds. And for some reason, the electric fence was like this. She put her mouth right on that electric fence. And then the next thing that was beyond the electric fence was the woven wire. So she connected. It was bad enough she's standing on ground, but then she connected to the woven wire, which was also ground. And it just shocked her. And she just didn't let go. She just started screaming. And we ran to the barn and I think pulled the plug on the fencer and then pulled her off of that. And then she went right back to it. Strangest thing. So we had to get her out of there, but she was too big. So we put a rope around her and picked her out with the loader. I thought it was going to kill her. I didn't put it around her neck or anything, but I picked her out like around under her arms. She was paralyzed, just quivering, and set her down on the ground. And I'm looking at these poor people like, oh man, you came for a farming experience, didn't you? And it was tough, but they're no longer in farming anymore. They gave it a go for a while, but they quit. Yeah, and they split the sheets too. Kind of take like it's my fault or something. And I guess she doesn't even live in the state anymore, last I heard, which was too bad because they're really nice. Seemed like they had a really nice thing going, but too bad. Anyway, how did I get on that subject? You see, a marriage. All right, next question.
Before you get in trouble.
Yeah.
This is Daddy Long Bear. How do you change your ration for hogs as they finish, or do you?
I don't. I don't. I don't. It's sort of like refer to nature again. Um, you know, the difference between a pig in nature, which they exist in nature, not in North America, but in the Pacific Rim, they certainly exist. But they're here in North America, but they're considered feral. They're considered invasive species. And I'm not sure about that because there's other animals that are here that came from the old world and came over on boats, and they're here now, but they weren't native here, but they don't consider them feral. I mean, there's lots of things that you wouldn't think of. You just think, oh, they must have been here when the American Indians were here, but they weren't. You know, like ponies and horses out west and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, pigs get a bad name because they do a lot of damage. And if they're in nature, feral, and generation after generation after, some of these generations go all the way back to the early 1800s. I mean, they go way back. This is not something new. If you've ever seen the movie, and I know this is probably not a real movie, but it's real enough, Old Yeller. There's the part there where Travis is up in the tree and he's doing his hog marking. And he lowers the noose down, he gets a hog and he pulls it up, and they're making a cut in the ear that signifies that it belongs to the Coates family, right? And that's when Travis falls out of the tree and he gets hog cut, and then he gets saved by Old Yeller. So if you haven't seen the movie Old Yeller, you need to watch it. But hog's been around for a long time, and in nature, they eat whatever they can get. So they're going to eat acorns, they're going to eat, they find a dead deer, they'll eat it. If they find roadkill, they'll eat it. Whatever they can find, they're going to eat. A little boy that falls out of a tree, they'll eat him. They really will. They're pretty efficient animals at eating things. And then the other side of that, the antithesis to that would be in industrial agriculture, they are feeding that animal for maximum growth on the least amount of food. So when the animal's young, they're going to start it on a high protein, and then they're going to wean the protein off because it's not necessary. And a higher protein is going to be more expensive than a low protein feed. So the finishing feed, and I think I have that right. I might have that backwards. It doesn't matter. I don't do that. The finishing feed will be different than the starter feed. So they may have a starter feed, like, Coastal was saying he's got 15 pigs and he's got to leave them on the mother pig a little bit longer. She'll kick them off at 8, 9, 10 weeks. Or she might let them go longer. Who cares? But she will eventually kick them off. But in the industrial world, they'll take them at a day and a half. They'll take them away from the mother, and then they'll impregnate that mother again because they want maximum, output of the animal. And I don't think it's really fair, but it's not much about industrial ag that I like once I look at it closely. And they'll take the babies off and they'll start them on a starter feed. I mean, early, and it's a liquid feed, but it's they'll over the loudspeaker they'll make the grunting noises, and the baby pigs hear that, and then a machine gets lowered down that's got maybe 50 nipples on it, and each pig can go to it and they can drink. You can see it on YouTube if you want to see it. And some of them are, have 100 nipples on it. And then the grunting stops and the thing goes back up. And then it comes back down. And then they'll change their feed. They'll finally put them on a granular feed, and that one will be different. Sometimes they have a really small pellet that they coat with milk. It's almost like a frosting on there. And the baby pigs will start eating that at, like a week. Where normally they don't start on solid food until 6 or 7 weeks in a normal environment. I've got some right now that are just starting to eat at 7 weeks, and they're actually leaving tomorrow. So, they seem a little small, but if they're on solid food, they can go. All right, so I don't change my feeds if I got a great big load of rotten cantaloupes, they're going to the pigs. If I get a great big load of bread, it's going to the pigs. If I get we butcher a beef and I have a bunch of scraps, it's going to the pigs. Whatever I have is going to the pigs. And when we wind up butchering that pig, we've got an animal that, especially because we use the Mangalitsa and Mangalitsa crosses, they do well on everything. It's a little touchy when you're doing breeding. You have to be a little bit concerned about certain things. But you didn't ask me that. So whatever we have, it's going to them. So that whole, starter feed, finishing feed, not so much. Not in this business, not so much. Like, I'm not concerned if these pigs, like commercial pigs, go 6.5 months, let's say. If my pigs go a year, well, they're just bigger. If I really need a pig at 4 months old, if I really need food, if I really need meat for the house, it's 4 months. We knock them down when we need them. The classes that we're going to be doing, I'm going to have some big pigs. So we'll do maybe a big one and a little one so people can get an idea of the difference in handling. So you can see that. Excellent class. I highly recommend it. And we highly recommend that you take the class, learn how to be an instructor, and then execute that where you live, And even if you live 20 minutes away, you've got a different group of friends than I have. There's so many people in this country. It's not like you're going to be cutting in on my action if you want to instruct people how to do this. I encourage people to learn how to do it so they can teach other people how to do it. Next.
All right. Nicole wanted to know, will a bottle calf be too pushy for a milk cow? She's considering getting a pure Jersey calf from a nearby dairy.
No.
Yeah, we got
No.
CC.
No, we got 2 of them now. Actually, they both got bottles.
Right.
Ruby got a bottle too.
Right.
No, they won't get too pushy.
And very likely the 2 that were just finished milking or milking were bottles.
No, I know what you mean about being pushy, but when they're still on the bottle, yeah, they can be pretty pushy. Like, you almost can't let a little kid go in there with a bottle because they want that bottle. But then once you quit giving them a bottle and they're on, you get them on a little bit of sweet feed, like sweet grain. And then you kind of transition them to hay and then take the sweet feed away and just let them have hay. And they forget that they were bottle babies. They do. And what we've done many, many, many times is we'll take the calf away from her mom, and there'll be a fence in between them, a pretty tough fence. Like it's made out of pipe, and then it's got cattle panels welded to it, so it's a tough fence. And the calf cannot get through it. The calf cannot suckle the mother through it, and the mother will feel good just having the calf there, and the mother will leave and go off and graze, and the calf sometimes will, but they get over it, and everybody works out. And then once the calf is reintroduced, a couple months later, they don't go back to sucking off the mom. If they do, you have to take them away again. But we haven't had that. Well, I shouldn't say never. We've not had it in a while because we have no reason to put the calves back in except when they get big and they're just going to be part of the herd that goes out to graze and then comes back up to get milked. So I hope that helps.
Yep, very much.
Yep.
Still on calves, Jonathan said, we have 3 calves that are 5 weeks old and he still hasn't castrated. When is it optimal?
Oh, you should wait until they're about a year old, Jonathan.
We've done them at 6 months.
No, I'm just kidding you. You want to do them ASAP, I think.
Yeah. Don't let them get so big they're hard to handle. The handling is the biggest thing.
Yeah,
but
it can be a real...
Yeah.
It can be bad. And we banned them. Whoa!
Here, hang on.
Hey, there's a bat in here. Now there's a bat out of here. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was a big bat, too.
That was big.
I think that was a vampire.
I think maybe you need to check the upstairs here.
No. That was a big bat.
He said they were kind of sickly for a couple weeks, so he gave them some time. And 5 weeks isn't by any means old.
No.
To castrate.
No. You're still going to have, it's still going to be a challenge to hold them.
Yeah.
Get Brittany out there and have
well,
her put them in a headlock.
While you're giving them the bottle or their bucket or whatever you give them the milk in, one person do that and the other person, because they don't really worry too much about what you're doing back there.
No.
They really don't.
No. But it's nice if you have 2 posts so they can't go side to side, If you have a chute that you can have them in and they can't move side to side on it and you can be behind them, and even if you can have something to where they cannot kick you, then you're safe, And make a setup that will work for you. I haven't done it in a long time. Jill does it. I just haven't done it. Like somebody was on here asking about castrate, and they said, well, something, and I said that you can put them both testicles in one, and I stood by what I said. I said, yes, I know, I've done it. I'm telling you, I can. And then after the show, Jill said, no, you can't. Are you sure?
No, other way around. You were saying you could only get one in, so you had to use 2 and crisscross them or something.
And so that goes to show you only use one for both nuts?
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a while since I guess I've done it. But I have all the equipment. Oh well. I've done plenty of pigs. I've got my wings, my nut cutting wings.
Yep.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah. No, it's not as bad as the pig castration at all. Because you don't have to
blood.
cut anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a band, like a rubber band that's about, it's like that big. They're very tight. And then you have a plier that has 4 prongs on it, like that. And you put the band on it. And when you squeeze the plier, it goes whoop, like that. It opens up. And it's a really strong band. So when you pull the nuts and the sack through it and then let it go, it restricts it. And it's tight. It doesn't make you feel very good when you see it. And it cuts off blood flow to it, and they just kind of fall off, I guess. I don't know if we've ever found them. I don't know.
Maybe we have.
Maybe.
But they just shrivel right
They
up
shrivel
into
little
nothing.
shrivel nuts.
Yeah.
Little raisins.
Looks like those Amazon head things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody on Michigan Homesteaders today showed pictures of castrating like a 7-month-old boar, and it was 2 veterinarians that were doing it, and they, had sedated the boar and everything. Because with a pig, you have to cut them. You can't. I don't think you can. I don't believe I've ever tried, but their testicles are really close to the body. Maybe you could, but I don't think it'd be a safe situation because then other pigs would bite at it. But with pigs, we just use a blade, cut it, pop the testicle out, cut it right off, and Bob's your uncle.
Right. Nicole wanted to know if you choose between an Angus Jersey cross and pure Jersey, which would be best? I'm thinking she's for milking.
Oh, for milking? Yeah, I can speak from experience here if Susan Greaves is on the channel. Angus, no. Don't do it. You want a Jersey because the Angus is high-strung and unpredictable. And that's...
Yeah, Susan is on it.
Susan's on?
Angus.
Okay. Yes. Susan was having trouble with hers and then sought the advice of Joe Higgins, which if anybody wants to know anything about milk cows, Joe Higgins is your guy. You can find him on the Anyone Can Farm tribe.
Right. There's actually quite a few really good cow people on the Anyone Can Farm tribe. So.
Are there?
Yeah, I'll put the link to it. So if you're not on there, you need to be
Joe
on
is my absolute go-to guy. We don't want anybody getting hurt. And you can get hurt by milk cows for sure. But when you go mixing in a breed like Angus in there, then you've just brought the probability needle up. And you can get in some serious trouble with a milk cow. So I recommend Jersey. Now Jersey bulls, they have a reputation of potentially being pretty nasty. But any bull can be pretty nasty. And anytime somebody says to you, "Oh yeah, but my bull is a sweetheart," no. It's like saying my pet raccoon, he would never bite me. It's like saying the food inspector from the USDA, he's a really nice guy. I've heard it. He's a nice guy until he bites you, right? He's a nice guy until he takes money from you. He's a nice guy until he catches you doing something, and then he's not a nice guy anymore. Same thing with a bull. He's nice until he gores you. And we can talk about women too. Next?
Yeah.
No, I actually like women.
Where was it there? Susan had a question for you. What do you give a cow to put her in heat for AI?
There's a drug called Ludolase. And I actually have, I have the procedure written down in my journal. I needed to find it the other day. I just didn't, I didn't have it committed to memory. And I'm gonna, okay. It's easy. If you want to write this down, I would recommend, this is good because we've done this several times and it's worked out really well for us. AI stands for artificial insemination of cows. And it's a viable option if you live in a community like I live, because we have a lot of dairies around here. So there are people who are AI specialists, which Joe Higgins did that for years. He was an AI specialist. So they know right when and where this little, they call it a straw. It's actually about that big, like a matchstick. And it's hollow and it's got semen in it. Semen, bull semen, right? They collect it off bulls. And you might be wondering, how do they do that? I've actually seen them do it. But they have these straws that they put the semen in, and I think it's a straw, so they probably have a, you know, like a container full of semen, and they have probably a device that sucks it into the straw, and then they take that straw and they put it over here and they freeze them, like down to -50. They freeze them with nitrogen, actually. They put them in a nitrogen tank. You want to artificially inseminate your cow, you give the cow a shot of 5 cc's of this luteolase, which you just give her a shot right in the back of her leg, you know, and then squeeze it in. 5 cc's is not very much. And what that'll do is that'll bring her into her estrus, and she will ovulate, right? So all of her eggs will go down into her fallopian tubes, and then they won't get inseminated. You won't inseminate her, and they will be expelled, right? So then you do the 5 cc's, you wait exactly 10 days, and you give her 5 more cc's, and then from the time that needle is pulled out, you start counting 72 hours. 72 hours. And you've called your AI specialist, and you've said, okay, I'm going to give her the second shot this time, this day, and he's looking at his calendar, and he's saying, okay, that'll work. I can be there. Now, a good AI man isn't going to be, 4 hours late. He's going to be there on time. He's going to be there at 72 hours exactly. And he's going to reach up in there and he's going to say, let's give her 4 more hours. Or he's going to say, yep, she's ready. I'm going to do it now. And he'll take that straw, puts it in a little applicator, or it's not a long applicator. He reaches up in, he places it right where it's got to go, a really special place, and then he'll squirt it in. And if the guy knows what he's doing, he'll say, I think I got her, I know I got her, whatever. And then you can have her checked in as little as 30 days, right? You can take a blood sample. He can come back and do it, take the blood sample and send it in, and he'll come back saying, yep, got her. And it's worth it to you, because if he didn't get her, you won't know that for a while. And that's happened to us, where he said, oh yeah, I got this one. And then we had 2 of them that didn't take. And I just went by what he was saying, and they were cows that always took, so But then we wound up butchering them because they got too fat because of it. So, it's luteolase, and you can get it from your vet. My vet just gives it to me, but I'm not sure if that's with everybody. I don't know. I don't know if it's something you can buy over the counter or not. Maybe you can. But you can certainly do the shot yourself. He might have to come one time to just make sure you're not doing something with it that you shouldn't do, right?
I don't know.
But he gives it to us. We just go up there and we buy it. I don't even know how much it costs. It's not expensive.
No, it wasn't at all.
It's like $15 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes in a little bottle, and then you have to have a syringe, a needle about that long, and it's got to be a heavy enough needle that you can do it with a cow. The way I do it, if you haven't given a cow a shot, or if you haven't given a pig a shot, or even yourself a shot, you should test. I tested out on Jill, and then she tested out on me. You take the syringe like this, so that's the needle is like this, and I actually go whoop, like that, and let my hand, and then my hand's away, and it's there, and then the animal settles down. It just feels like I slapped her on her back of her leg, and then she settles down, and I got my hand up here, and then I just go right in like that. So that's how I do it. I've been doing it like that for years. I don't give a whole lot of shots, but oh, by the way, we understand that there may be a need for a proof of vaccine. So I think Baker's Green Acres is going to start doing a vaccine verification, and it'll have our official logo on it, and I'll even sign it at the bottom. And so all you got to do is tell me that you got the vaccine, and I'll trust you, and we'll give you a little vaccine certification card, and you can use that. You know, if you got to get in someplace and they want to make sure you get vaccine, should be good enough. So let us know. It'll be Baker's Green Acres certified, right? We're certified. I'm certified. Jill's certified. I certify her. She certifies me. And we're official. I am a certification official. I'm a vaccine official. I give shots. I know. I'm a farmer. I know a lot of things. I smoke cigars occasionally. You can trust me. Next.
Susan said, so you give her the second shot and he AIs her right then?
Is this a trick question? No. You give her 5 cc's, and from the minute you pull that out, you wait 10 days, right? So 10 24-hour periods, and when that 10th 24-hour period is over, you give her 5 more cc's, and then 72 hours after that, you breed her, or potentially you breed her. So Jim will be there. Our guy's name is Jim. He will be there at the beginning of at the end of the 72 hours. So from the second shot, you count. So it's 10 days for the first shot and 72 hours for the second shot. Is this clear?
I just typed in exactly what you said, so it's in writing. Mm-hmm. She missed the first 10-day window thing.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. So 5 cc's, you wait 10 days, another shot, 5 cc's, and when you pull that needle out, you're counting 72 hours. You're counting hours then. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hours. So, let's see, 72 hours is, how many? how many, 72 hours is, 48 hours is two days, 3 days, 3 times 24.
24, 48.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's 3 days. 3 times 24. So it's 3 24-hour periods, and then you breed. You guys know I'm not good doing math under pressure. So, one more question, and then I think we'll call it. It's 96 minutes we're in.
Yep. I don't
Do you have
actually have any more questions because you answered the one I had from earlier this week with the running pigs and sounders
Okay.
when you talked about that. Audubon says you have a degree from the Farming College of Knowledge.
Yes, I do. Yes, I actually graduated right at the top of my class. Yeah. Yeah. I was top of my class, actually a dual major, actually. So, let's see. Tomorrow's Thursday night, so I'm gonna switch what we were going to talk about last night over to Thursday night if everything works out okay. But the topic was telltale signs of a successful homestead, and it certainly is an opinion piece because, like, my idea of success might be different than your idea of success. So it's definitely an opinion, and I want to prepare you for lots of conversation. You know, I'm gonna be looking at the comments and stuff, and I'll comment on those. And it's a good place to talk about things. You know, with our homesteads, like where are we going? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? What's your why anyway? And then, you know, we'll go from there. Maybe we'll lap over onto Friday. Maybe we'll do something else on Friday. Not really sure at this point. Okay, so appreciate everybody coming by. Sorry for the technical difficulties the last couple of days, but we will adapt and overcome. A note here of what I've been seeing and feeling and kind of hearing from some of the people that I deal with and counsel with and things like this. There's a lot of pent-up feelings, and they're all over the place. You know, it's apprehension, it's fear, it's things like this, all kinds of things that I guess we would have normally. I mean, you're afraid that, you know, when you open the mailbox, you know, I remember going through a period in my life where I didn't even want to get the mail because I was afraid of what would be in there. Now, I'm over it. If it's something I don't want, I just tear it in half and throw it away. You know, and I'm really over it. I'm not afraid of what somebody can scribble down on a piece of paper and send to me in the mail anymore so much. But you know, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the country, and if you've been tracking it and you love our country and you have a sense of what is right and what is wrong, it's a pretty tough pill to swallow. And the enemy is trying to create fear. There's no doubt about it. I see it, I can smell it. And you can't do that. You can't allow that to happen. So it's kind of like if you're going to go through the House of Horrors, you know what's going to be in there when you walk in, and just mind over matter, just not doing it. I'm not going to let that bother me. And focus on what you can do, and that's what we're doing. I mean, if this was an embroidery class that we were in an embroidery group, and then I would say dig in, get your embroidery going, you know, get good at something, get real good at this. This is a great opportunity, because a lot of the BS that's going on out there, you can't do anything about. None of us can do anything about what's going on in Afghanistan. None of, you know, and the words that we hear them say on different news channels and even our alternative news channels, they have a lot of reasons to not tell us accurate information. Even our friends, there's a lot of reasons. So I'd say stay away from it for a little while if you can, and just do what you can do. And if your thing is homesteading and preparing for your family, then do that. Just dig in on it, and don't let them bring you down, because that's what they're trying to do. And they're doing a pretty good job of bringing people down. Pretty good job. That's their weapon, is fear. So I today was mowing the lawn, and it started raining, and I thought, oh, this is a good opportunity. I'll put the lawnmower where I know it's not going to get wet, and then I'll dash over to the new overhang that I just built, and I'll sit down and I'll relax. And I did that, and a beautiful, over my shoulder, there was the most beautiful rainbow that I've seen in a long time, and I embraced it. I said, that was there for me, and I'm going to sit here and watch it, look at it, see where it touches down, and just enjoy myself and embrace that moment in time. You know, I'm in a good place, I'm well fed, I'm safe, I'm well hydrated. Embrace that little victory right there. And I think that's what we have to do. We really have to take care of our mental health, and we have to take care of the mental health of people around us. And I tell you what, when I get a call from somebody and they just say, how you doing? That makes me feel pretty good. You care how I'm doing? Yeah, I care how you're doing. I'm doing all right. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. You are? You're not freaked out by what's going on? Nah. I'm digging potatoes. How can I care about that? You know, so that's my little thing. I've called a few of my friends recently and just checking on you, just see how you're doing, make sure everything's going all right. And is there anything I can do? Generally, no. There's nothing I can do. But thanks for asking. All right. We're only here for a short time. All right.